Hello and welcome to Extra Credit, the McAllen ISD podcast that takes a close look at programs that benefit you and your family. My guest today is the director of McAllen ISD's Fine Arts program, Ms. Debbie Loya. Ms. Loya, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. It's wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. So when I think of fine arts, right, I think of music, but I know in McAllen ISD it's a lot more than just that. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it definitely is a lot of music. We do have music in elementary, we have band, we have mariachi, we have orchestra, we have choir, we have art, visual arts, and of course we have theater, and of course we can't forget about ROTC, which I think you might say, well, what does that have to do with fine arts? But it is something that's under our umbrella.
Oh, that's actually cool. What part of it, do you know, what aspect makes it fall into that, or is it just like?
Well, the aspect that makes it fall on it is they said, well, who would like to take over JROTC? And I said, me.
Okay. That makes sense. So I know we have some pretty good music programs. Can you tell us a little bit about their accomplishments or what you can achieve in these?
Absolutely. Well, one of the first things that you think of when you think of music, I think, is, of course, McAllen ISD, because we have some of the best programs.
Yeah,
we have band, and of course every year we compete in Pigskin and Bands of America, and we host a lot of those events here at McAllen ISD. They're huge events. But in addition to that, we also have choir. And within our choir, we have some of the best choirs in the region. In fact, McAllen ISD often ranks at the top in the area of choir. We have all-staters coming in from choir. We also have all-staters in band. We had an all-stater last year in orchestra, which is a very difficult task. And we have, of course, our all-staters that come every single year from our mariachi groups.
Oh, yeah. That's a really big one. I always forget that we actually have that. They travel a lot.
Oh, they sure do. They really do. In fact, they're going somewhere this weekend. They're going to Thomas State. So that's going to be a wonderful adventure.
That's really cool. I would see choir, especially with TMEA, and stuff like that. That's really cool. My friends recently just went on that trip. It's the things they get to experience is actually really cool.
It really is. And this year, the national convention happened to be here in Texas, which is a rarity. And so we were able to send one of our students from Roe over there to perform.
I think, that was actually right. That was right. So I know, in band, obviously they play instruments. Do you kind of get to choose your instrument? Or?
Absolutely. In fact, that time's coming around. So every year we have a recruitment. And this recruitment happens in 5th grade. I'm sure you'll remember when you were in 5th grade, they sent you to the gym at the middle school that you were going to go to. And all of our groups perform. And they kind of put on a show to say, this is what we have to offer here at McAllen ISD. So when that happens, if a student chooses band or orchestra, then they go to what's called an instrument drive. In fact, this year's instrument drive is happening on April 22nd and 23rd at each of the middle schools. And in that instrument drive, you go as a student, and your parents go with you, of course. You look at all the instruments that orchestra and band has to offer, and mariachi. And so then you kind of test the instruments out. They kind of look to see if you have the correct embouchure, if you want to play the flute or the clarinet, or any instrument. And then you're able to choose what instruments you want. Now, percussion's a difficult one, right? Because everybody goes into middle school saying, I want to be a percussionist. I'm going to be a percussionist. But, you might think, oh, well, beating on a drum seems pretty easy, but it's absolutely not. It involves complex rhythms. It involves coordination and movement. And so students have a little mini tryout, because if we allowed every student who wanted to be in percussion, then we'd have hundreds of percussionists and no band.
It's actually funny you mentioned that, because when I was in 5th grade, I wanted
that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. I moved, so unfortunately I couldn't take that test, but I ended up joining color guard anyway, so I was kind of right there with them.
Excellent. Our color guard is doing exceptionally well also. So that's something that has grown here at Mac High, and in fact at all of our schools. Our color guard continues to become bigger and better every single year.
That's very true. I know Mac High has really stepped up their game.
Absolutely.
So, with these instruments, do they buy them? Are they rented? How exactly?
Well, what happens is you are offered the option to purchase, but let's say you're not ready to make that purchase, or let's say maybe your family doesn't have enough to make that purchase, because it is a big purchase. It's a big commitment.
Instruments are very expensive.
And in 6th grade, you don't want to make a commitment of $1,000 or $2,000, and some of these instruments cost upward of $10,000. And so maybe your student might say, or your child might say, well, maybe I don't want to make that commitment. Well, we offer the option to rent here at McAllen ISD. So a parent pays $40 and then they're able to rent that instrument from McAllen ISD since we have a couple on hand.
Could you tell me a little bit more about like the visual and performing arts that we have here specifically?
Absolutely. Well, with visual arts, we have a range of opportunities that begins in middle school and then goes on into high school. In fact, this year we have several students who've made VASE State. So we have 4 students that are going on to VASE State, and that is an awesome opportunity, which is artists, right? Which they get to draw or paint. And so we offer that, of course. We offer art, paintings, and things like that. Yeah. But in addition to that, we also have ceramics, we have jewelry making, we have tons of options. Cool. And of course, visual arts also includes theater performance. We have a wonderful theater department at all of our schools. Right now, we have Memorial and Mac High who have advanced to the next level of competition in one-act play. So we're always going to put our best foot forward here at McAllen ISD. Our visual arts also just got included in the Jossie Awards. There were only 6 schools in the whole state of Texas chosen to do their musical performance, and Mac High was chosen. So we will have the opportunity to go and perform in San Antonio that wonderful piece of their musical.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Whoa, congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay. I was about to talk about that with the musicals, because I know there's plenty that goes into it, a lot of work, and like it's actually incredible if you guys have seen the behind the scenes. I don't know if you've gone to see the musicals here.
Well, I used to be a theater major, and so not only have I gone, but I also used to teach theater at Memorial High School. But you know, I know the wonderful work that goes into creating a musical. It involves our choir director along with our theater director and so many other moving parts. It also involves choreography. And so we have students coming to rehearsal every single day after school, and a lot of times on the weekends as well, to ensure that our performances are top notch. Some might even compare them to Broadway.
There's actually really good ones. There was a musical I went to, like, I think it was like maybe a year or 2 ago. Like, it was actually, the experience of seeing it live was just different.
It's absolutely incredible. It's a different, you would think like, okay, I'm going to go see a High School Musical, but you're not. You are going to see a professional piece of work when you go see a musical at McAllen ISD.
Like, you genuinely see like the passion and skill
absolutely
these kids have. It's crazy. So I know you kind of talked about it a little bit before, but could you kind of go a little bit more into like middle school kids and exactly the opportunities they have?
So in middle school, it's a wonderful time because there are so many options out there, and we realize that there are a lot of options. But you know, we have about 116%. And I know you say, well, how do you go over 100%, Miss Loya? Well, the way that you do that is we have students that sometimes go into 2 different fields in performing arts. And so maybe they're in choir, but then after school they join the theater club. And so that's what picks our numbers up even higher. So we have all of the same options that we do at high school. We have them there at middle school. And so it's wonderful though, because that's when their foundation is being built upon. That's when they're learning how to play the instrument, how to read music, how to interpret music, and all of the dynamics within each of those parts. In addition to that, we also offer plays being performed at middle school, so that way we see the work coming up. We also compete in junior VASE in art, and so we have a lot of opportunities to be able to be a part of middle school UIL and performing arts.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about UIL. It's actually, that's true. That's really cool. So how many students would you say in the district are involved in fine arts of some sort?
Well, it would involve 90% of our students. Whoa. And so, like I told you earlier, it's 116% in middle school, but 99% of our students are lucky enough to have a certified music teacher in elementary. So this offers our students the opportunity to kind of see what's out there in the very beginning, to kind of learn about composers, about different works of music, about the fundamentals of music, and a little bit of introduction into the arts. So it's a wonderful opportunity there. But 90% of students at McAllen ISD are able to be in the performing arts.
Okay, guys, you have the opportunity. Check it out. Check it out. So what would you say is like some of the benefits of involvement, like whether it's like personal or skills or?
Well, I think it definitely builds character. It builds personality.
Oh, that's true.
Perseverance. And you learn a lot about commitment. You learn how to be a leader, because a lot of these skills that you learn are becoming a leader in the future. Now, I hate to say this, but I will, because I am the fine arts director. If you are in fine arts, you have the opportunity, or you have the, you will have the capacity to build your SAT score by 10% or more just by being in fine arts, specifically in the area of music. And so it's proven, and there's research facts to prove it as well.
Actually, I very much agree with that, because I've seen the theory, like the music theory class this year. I've never been able to grasp that. It's incredible.
It's a difficult task. It's a difficult task, but it builds your brain, it builds your mind. There's so much math involved.
There really is.
There really is in music.
It takes a unique part of your brain. So finally, what can students or parents do to find out more information about opportunities in fine arts?
Well, you can always call the McAllen ISD main number, but if not, you can call the fine arts directly at 618-6085. We have a wonderful way of getting people in tune with what they should be in. And so I'm always available to talk. We also have our coordinator of fine arts, Miss Lisa Sines, available to speak to you at any moment. Just give us a call. We're there.
There you go. Well, there you guys have it. If you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have, Ms. Loya. But thank you again so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing all this information.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that's Extra Credit for today. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.